Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the Central. And good evening on the East Coast. This is Angela Nirvana of Nirvana World TV. We're on day 3, family, moving right along as we've already embarked on this spiritual journey to get rid of the weight from the inside out. Because as we've grown accustomed to me hearing, uh, we don't get rid of anything on the outside until we fix what's going on the inside. That's how we manifest our heart's desires, okay? So please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the late notice. I will be sure to send out the notice tonight as soon as the broadcast concludes so that it doesn't go out as late as it did today. So forgive me in advance. It was a true oversight. I want to talk with you a little bit about, first of all, I promised that I would share. Let me add this to the stream. I promised that I would share my vision board. Okay. So that's it. That is my vision board. And um, this is something that I suggest each and every one of you do to get a vision for what you want your life to look like. This is something that was taught to me by Iyanla Van Zant many years ago while living in New York, actually. And then Reverend Sherry and Reverend Cherie from my current church, powerful sisters in truth, they had a workshop entitled Creating God's Vision for Your Life. And this is that manifestation. That's been some years ago. But this is a manifestation of that. You basically want to pull together old magazines and just have a lot of fun creating your vision board, creating a vision for your life. Okay? If you don't have a vision, a people without a vision will soon perish. So you absolutely want to get to the place where you are creating your own vision for what you want your life to look like with respect to your weight loss goals, with respect to your finances, with respect to your relationships. You want to get a vision. And this is an awesome way to encapsulate that in one setting where you can meditate on the vision, every day. This particular poster board sits over my television. That's where it's mounted. And quite a few things have manifested after I created the vision. There's still some things on here that I'm looking forward to have manifest in my experience. But I'm well on my way. So I wanted to share that with you before I post the candles up because I can't have both on the screen at the same time. So let me stop this and let me bring up my favorite meditative candles, okay? Stand by. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Let me bring this up. Here we go. This is very meditative. That's why I love it so much. All right, thank you. Welcome, one and all. Okay, let's get into, before I embark on today's lesson, I want to share a little bit about what I had to remind myself of earlier today when speaking with a very dear sister friend of mine. We got to talking about vitamins and supplements, and she believes wholeheartedly in vitamins and supplements. She's a woman of a particular age, as am I, and she believes wholeheartedly in them. So she was sharing with me her reasons for believing so much in vitamins and supplements. And I can't tell you how much money I've spent on vitamins and supplements, and my belief in them is not the same as hers. But she believes strongly in them because she talks about the nutrients that are missing, the minerals and the nutrients that are missing from our food to constitute why she believes so much in vitamins and supplements. And she was sharing with me about their importance due to the nutrient dense foods that we now encounter at the market, as well as aging. So I listened, I allowed her to share about her beliefs that as we age, we need vitamins and supplements. Hi, BB Rodriguez. Thank you for joining the live, my love. I listened to her share with me about her strong belief in vitamins and supplements to substitute what she believes is lacking as she has aged. And I listened to her, but then I had to go back to the principles I've been taught, the very ones that I'm teaching you. That every day, as the image likeness of God with mastery, power, dominion, and authority over everything, you literally get to choose what you're going to believe in. And as a man thinketh, so it is. So we have different beliefs where that's concerned. She believes in vitamins and supplements to keep her body strong. I believe in working on yourself spiritually and not having to rely on anything but your inner Christ. That's what I believe. And we had several rounds in that discussion about it. And I decided I had to share that with you guys because you are the image likeness of God. There is no exceptions. It can't be true when things are great in your life and not true when things go awry. And if you are the image likeness of God, as Genesis 1:26 intimates, and as Genesis 1:27 intimates that you got mastery, power, dominion, and authority over everything, there's no exceptions in that, family. There is no exceptions. So just because your mama had it, or your daddy had it, or your sister had it, doesn't mean you've got to have it. All things are happening according to your belief. This is you or a guest. I'm new. Oh, that's me, family. I'm not on live because this is not about me. I'm trying to have spirit use me and speak through me to reach my people in particular who don't know the truth about who they are. So yeah, this is me. Yes. So I just have the small picture up because I want us focused in the spirit. I don't want the focus on me. Me and my lineage are in a very intense battle for reparations. And I am trying to teach my lineage to demand reparations because it's a debt that's owed. But I'm trying to teach them spiritually how to not get into agreement with lack or limitation because we're fighting for a debt that's owed. There's a distinct difference. And so over there on my advocacy channel, it's very, very different. I come on live. I've got a lot of current events to unpack, but I've taken to spiritualizing that broadcast now in the end because I am fully aware, just like the ancestors were fully aware, we of ourselves can't get this done. We've got forces that are working in opposition to what we're trying to achieve. So the only way to get anything to manifest in our experience is to be in agreement with our inner Christ and to understand what that is, that still small voice that we must invoke in everything, especially the reparations fight. So it's me, but I've taken me pretty much out of the equation in terms of coming on live because I don't want the attention or the focus on me. I want it on this word. And I've decided 23 was going to be more of a dedication to things of the spirit. And I'm seeking to teach my lineage, especially how to judge things righteously and how to work from the inside out versus all the energy we're expending from the outside. So, like I was saying, back to what I was saying before OST, Big Low Soul YT, asked the question. I want you to understand, family, that you don't have to pick up any generational curses or any generational belief systems. That can stop with whomever had it. If your mother or your father died from heart disease or died from cancer or is ailing from these things, it does not mean that you must have those things too. Okay? If you see someone who's struggling in their elder years, you can also look up on Google and see people thriving. Every day I go out to the beach to work out, I see senior citizens in optimal health jogging past me. So just because you see things getting old around you doesn't mean you have to get old. You can age without getting old. That is up to you because everything is happening to you according to your beliefs, no exceptions. And so you've got to leave the limiting thoughts to the people who want to limit themselves. You've got to leave the thoughts of sickness to the people who want to participate in being sick. You've got to leave the thoughts of poverty to those who want to be impoverished. You've got to leave the thoughts of having a body that won't function up until you decide to put it down to those who decide that I have to break down with every year I turn an age new. That is your power, your dominion, your authority over everything. I am 56 years young. That's my square. And I've decided to believe in a life in that more abundantly. And so when people look at me, they don't believe it is me. Because I refuse to get old as I grow a year older. I refuse it. And I've got too many examples that I decide to focus and meditate on over succumbing to those in my circle who believe in sickness and poor health as they get older. So I had to say that because it was on my heart, having just had this exchange with a very dear sister friend of mine. So do know that everything that's showing up as the image likeness of God in your experience was created in mind. It produced after its own kind. Everything you focus on expands. Everything. If you focus on chaos, depression, fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, when you focus on that, you get more of that in your experience. When you focus on love, peace, abundance, being in the overflow, perfect health, when you keep your eyes single and when you stay in that zone, when you decide this is my square and I'm not leaving my square, then that is what you will have more abundantly. There's no exceptions. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And we'll be delving more into that over on this particular channel. This particular broadcast, Metaphysically Speaking, is here to teach you and to reintroduce you and to help you remember the truth of who you really are. You are not your circumstances. You are not what your mama, daddy, your granny had, your grandpa had, your sister had. You are not those things. You get to decide what your life looks like. You are in complete control. And your mind is your connecting link to the Most High God. No exceptions. No exceptions. So with that being said, I hope that you have been getting in touch with your spiritual practice in the mornings. I hope that you have been. Hi, Kinky Curly Straight. Welcome to the live, my love. I got the notice out so late. I don't know how many will be with us, but the broadcast must go on, okay? I'll be sure to put the notice out tonight as soon as the broadcast concludes so that more people can be aware that I'm over here. So forgive me in advance for that, but we're going with whomever shows up. That's how this works. If it's just me, people will catch the archive. That's how I feel about it, but I'm very thankful that you're here. So you'll have to rewind to hear what I just shared. It was very powerful, Kinky Curly Straight. So make sure you rewind the tape when it renders, because I'm dealing with the truth of who you are before you were even flesh. And I might rename this quantum metaphysics, because I'm just throwing y'all into this head first. You don't have any history of how I got here, but I know that this is resonating with many of you, as it did me when I first walked into the doors of Della Reese's church. It resonated with me. It landed on me as truth, and I know that it's doing the same for you that show up consistently. And I thank you for being in solidarity with me. Queen Yasmin, welcome, my love, to the live. I appreciate you being here. So as I was saying, I hope that you are developing a spiritual practice in the mornings. I hope that you've got your journals. I hope that you're doing the denial and affirmation I taught on yesterday. I hope that you've got this book and that you're reading along and doing the exercises. I hope that you are going to sleep with a meditative weight loss channel to lull you to sleep at night. Or if you're working on more money, you can listen to a YouTube meditation on prosperity. I love Jason Stevenson. I love Abraham Hicks. I love Jason Stevenson. He's got a voice that resonates with me. Friedman Holocaust survivor Us. He actually recommended David McGraw. So things have been manifesting fast. Reparations is coming 100%. I don't worry. Just know that you know. Hey, OST, I love that. Thank you for the reminder. Absolutely. You have to know that you know, family. You're so right. But God had put it on me some years ago when I developed my advocacy channel to do this one, because he didn't give me she, it, it's not any of the pronouns. Okay. God is spirit. Okay. And you are that image likeness. So you can't see God unless we look upon each other, but that's a whole nother lesson that's kind of intertwined in what I'm teaching here. But God moved on me that I can't know this and I can't have demonstrated in my own experience, because our people need to understand that they are manifesting machines right now. They don't have to wait for reparations. And so God moved on me that I didn't get all this education and licensing in metaphysics not to teach it to my people and those who are interested in learning. But American freedmen specifically need this, because I see so much happening in Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube, fight after fight after fight. It's just doing a lot. And this is my way of giving back to us so that we can move in peace towards the reparations. We don't have to get flustered. We don't have to cuss each other out. We don't have to be mad at our neighbors who talk in opposition to it, because that's what our ancestors did. They relied completely on their inner Christ to deliver them to freedom. And that's always been our way. And that's the way we're getting back to over on this channel. So a lot of people are here because their New Year resolution, including mine, is to lose physical weight. But if you don't lose the weight from within, the weight on the outside may disappear for a minute, but it will only be temporary. So this is 21 days spiritual weight loss to get rid of the weight on the outside forever. But it only happens from the inside first. So we're over here to get it together on the inside first. So I hope you're doing all the things that I've prescribed up until this point. It's going to help you heal from the inside so that the weight loss plan that your inner Christ gives to you can be implemented easy and without strain. Because that's the only one you can do consistently, is the one your inner Christ gives you. Mine is going to tell me something different than yours. And that's okay. Listen to your God mind and what it tells you to do to help in the physical. I'm here to show you how to do it in the spirit, which is the only way whatever pounds are shed from this experience will stay off forever, because you'll have the tools to stay in alignment with how God told you to eat. Your inner Christ told you to eat, and your inner Christ told you to exercise, okay? So now we're on lesson 1. Tear down the wall. I'm going to be reading, and as our spirit gives me insight to share with you, thank you, Kinky Curly Straight. As spirit gives me the insight to share with you, I will speak and break from the passage. It's just a few pages here, and then we're going to get into the homework, and then I'm going to do our denial and affirmation and pray us out. So let's get into it. Marianne goes on to say, I was never a food addict, but for years I was a compulsive overeater. Diets did not work. I would starve myself, then binge, starve myself, then binge, in a constant cycle of self-abnegation and self-indulgence. I hated many things about the situation, but what was worse than anything else was how much I thought about food. Me speaking. This is what happens when people get addicted. This could be food. This could be shopping. This could be sex. This could be alcohol. This could be crack. This could be weed. Okay? How much you think about these things and how much it takes up your capacity to think about your body temple, because you just want that next fix. You just want whatever ails you to be soothed by whatever the addiction is. I was obsessed with it. Thoughts of eating hardly ever left my mind. And then they did, in a miraculous way. Me speaking, yesterday I shared about my parishioner friend who would pray for God to break her addiction to smoking even as she smoked. And just like Marianne Williamson experienced, one day those thoughts left her mind in a miraculous way. When I began studying A Course in Miracles, I wasn't consciously thinking of my weight as an area where I wanted a miracle. But one day I looked down and couldn't believe what I saw on the scale or on my body. Weight had simply dropped off, and I realized why. The weight had merely been a physical manifestation of my need to keep others at bay. I feared other people and had built a wall to protect myself. Practicing the Course, meaning the Course in Miracles, I learned to extend my hand across the wall. I learned ways to replace fear with love. I'd ask God to enter my life and make all things right, and the wall had disappeared. This is your homework. I hope you have your pen and paper, because your first lesson focuses on the following visualization. I want you to create the image of excess weight as a brick wall that you are carrying around. This wall has been built by your subconscious mind. Remember, family, we've been teaching that mind and thoughts are cause. Whatever is expressing in the body is effect. So this wall has been built by your subconscious mind. Its purpose is to separate you from other people and from life itself. Your fear has built the wall, and love will tear it down. Looking closely, you can see that every brick has something written on it: shame, anger, fear, unforgiveness, judgment, disdain, excess responsibility, pressure, exhaustion, burden, stress, heartbreak, injustice. Ding, 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 ding. Hello, comrades in the reparations fight. That's a big brick for many of us. Protection, pride, selfishness, jealousy, greed, laziness, separation, dishonesty, arrogance, inferiority, embarrassment, self-abnegation. Now allow yourself to read over this list again very slowly, or play the tape back and listen to it very slowly. With every word, ask yourself whether or not it represents a thought, an emotional reality, or a character defect that pertains to you. Know that the vast majority of people, were they to be honest with themselves, would say yes. You might even add a few words of your own to the list. And with every word / brick, move slowly into your heart and allow yourself to identify the situation or circumstance in your life that this word connects to. The weight you are seeking to let go of was added to your consciousness before it was added to your body. Your body is merely a screen onto which is projected the nature of your thoughts. When the weight is gone from your consciousness, it will be gone from your physical experience. In asking God to remove the cause, you automatically remove the effect. The weight on your mind and thus on your body is the weight of your own emotional shadows that have not yet had a light shone on them. Whether they be unprocessed feelings, negative thoughts, or fear-based attitudes and personality traits. They are no different from the shadows that other people have. What is unique to your situation is that for whatever reason, these thoughts or feelings have become frozen within you and are not being processed properly. Instead of your getting sad, let's say going through the sadness and then moving to the other side of it, your sadness is likely, for various reasons, to stay stuck within your mind. And then it gets stuck within your body. You are failing to assimilate and experience and to let it go. Emotionally and mentally, as well as physically, our systems must process waste. Painful experiences are not meant to linger. They are meant to teach us what they need to teach us and then dissolve into the realm of soft focused memory. Even bitterness in our past can transform into peaceful acceptance. With your system of psychological waste removal on the blink, however, you've subconsciously tried to get rid of these thoughts and feelings by eating them, by drinking them, by sexing them, by over shopping them, by smoking them. If I can't process my sadness, perhaps I can eat my sadness. If I can't process my anger, perhaps I can eat my anger. In the absence of an exit valve for what could be seen as your psychological sewage, your unprocessed thoughts and feelings have embedded themselves in your flesh, literally. They are the materialization of dense, unprocessed energy that had nowhere else to go. You are carrying your burdens around, not only with you, but on you. This course is a way to release them to God, your inner Christ. It's not as though other people don't have unprocessed emotions. We all do. In some of us, unprocessed pain expresses itself through taking drugs or drinking, in others through emotional outburst, and still others through promiscuous sex, and so forth. The form of dysfunction is not particularly relevant. What matters is that we address the unprocessed suffering behind it. In order for your healing to be real and deep, you must be willing to be real and deep with the issues you address here. No one else needs to know what is revealed to you, unless you choose to share the information with a trusted friend. This journey is a sacred one in which you travel with God through the secrets of your heart. With this lesson, you'll begin to tear down the wall. There are only two categories of thoughts, those of love and those of fear. And the only way to transcend fear is to replace it with love. As you identify fear thoughts and then surrender them to divine mind, love emerges naturally. When thoughts that lead you to overeat are surrendered, then those that lead you to wholesome eating come forth to take their place. The unprocessed fear will then leave your system in time, taking with it the pounds of flesh it has produced, and bringing it into your conscious mind and surrendering it to God. Your fear and then your excess weight will be transmuted and removed. In the past, you may simply have ignored or suppressed the thoughts, feelings, and memories that caused you pain. By doing so, however, you stopped a natural process by which such thoughts and feelings could be transformed. The pain has been pushed into your flesh. Now you are remembering that you can make another choice. You can look at your pain and then release it to one in whose hands it will dissolve forever. That is your inner Christ. It is not enough to merely identify your pain. You must then surrender it for healing. Saying, for instance, I am so embarrassed about this or that situation, is not of itself a healing. But to say, dear God, I am so embarrassed about that situation. I place everything that happened and all my feelings about it in your hands. Please help me to see it differently. Now that is a healing. What is placed on the altar is then altered. As you surrender a situation, your thoughts about it are changed. Divine mind comes into your worldly thoughts from a thought system beyond your own, authorized to return you to grace and sanity. You can think of this as a divine intercession. This course is a lesson plan in miraculous thinking as applied to your efforts to lose weight. Divine mind will remove the wall that surrounds you when you look at each brick. Own your thoughts and feelings that imbue the brick with such addictive force, and then place it in his hands. Give to him what you do not want, and what you do not want will disappear. By recognizing what constitutes the wall around you, you will begin the process of dismantling it. Return now to the words listed at the beginning of the chapter, which represent the bricks in your wall. And for each word, write down in your journal what is true for you. The name of the book, Kinky Curly Straight, is A Course in Weight Loss, 21 Spiritual Lessons for Surrendering Your Weight Forever. It is a number one New York Times best-selling author, Marianne Williamson. She was our first presidential candidate and one of many of my spiritual counselors to run for president on a reparations platform. Okay, so get the book. It's on Amazon, I'm sure. So back to what I was reading. For each of these words, you need to write down in your journal what is true for you. Do not rush through this process. Me speaking. Allow your inner Christ to give you the answers when you meditate on each of these bricks as you journal. Stuff may come up that happened eons ago that you didn't realize you were still holding on to. And this is a way to give it to God and release it. Give it to God and to be free of it. You need to be as detailed and complete as you can, feeling free to go back to certain words after you've already moved on to others. Allow yourself to look and to feel, and you will ultimately understand. And my word is understand. This is a meaningful opportunity to see your light by being courageous enough to look at your darkness. Something we as freed people whose ancestors built this country with their lives absolutely need to do. All of our trauma is warehoused in our DNA and warehoused in our flesh. And so the only way out is to understand that this is there and dig it up from the roots and give it to God and release it. Give it to God and be free of it so that it will never return. And then things on the outside of you will be forever altered, including the weight loss, including your finances, including your relationships. But the work is in one, as one, on one. You and your inner Christ have got to get to work, because we absolutely cannot sit up here and lose everything waiting on reparations, or lose everything because we're in constant fights in Twitter space, in Facebook, in YouTube, on the gram, and in TikTok. There is so much happening and being leveled at American freedmen in particular right now that we often feel like, and we often are, fighting everyone and everything. And so I am teaching this to you as I remind myself that this is how I became a manifesting machine, which we need to become that yesterday. We can't afford to lose the blessings that we've got right in front of our eyes because we can't recognize the blessings right before our eyes. Or because we're so stuck on what we don't have that we fail to give thanks for what we do have. And to manifest more of what you desire is to get into an attitude of gratitude, get into the spirit of thanksgiving. That's how you create more of what you want and less of what you don't want in your experience. And that's what this is about. How do we survive this until the reparations direct deposits into our bank account? And how do we manifest the reparations if all we're doing is work on the outside and not going within spirit to rely on the inner Christ, the inner Buddha, the inner Allah to help us manifest the reparations? Because you see, we've got a lot of enemies that don't want us to have it. And so it's on us, those of us who decide to link arms and to spiritualize this reparations fight, akin to what Martin Luther King Jr. did for our civil rights, and all the people that locked arms with him in the spirit to bring forward civil rights. In the same way, our ancestors brought into manifestation our emancipation. You know, I don't want us to be like the children of Israel that, had to wander in the wilderness for 40 days. I mean, longer than 40 days. I think it took them 40 years to come up out of the wilderness because they kept going back and forth between remembering how great God was and forgetting. And that's what many of us are doing. We're in the wilderness because it's a challenge for us, because we don't have a spiritual practice, to remind ourselves daily of the blessings that are right in front of us. And so we're like the children of Israel. We go back to being depressed, to being worry-filled, doubtful, fearful, anxious. And that's what that starts to have babies in our experience. So this is to help you to remember. So let's go over them one at a time and give a little explanation. Thank you, darling. I love this message, says Kinky Curly Straight. We must put spirit into our fight for reparations. I believe it is the only way that will work. You hit it on the nail on the head. I had to highlight that, Kinky Curly Straight. No greater truth has been spoken. And until we spiritualize this fight and get reparations happening on the inside, it will never manifest. Back to the text. So I'm going to go through these one at a time so I can read to you some of the things that you can be contemplating when you see the word. But more than anything, you need to sit with the word and ask your inner Christ for the answers, because you'd be surprised when you appeal to that inner Christ, inner Buddha, inner Allah. You will be surprised what comes up on that paper for every one of these bricks / words. Let's talk about shame. You need to fill in the blank. I am ashamed of blank. So perhaps you acted foolishly and cringe to think that other people still remember. Do not go unconscious here during this exercise. Write it all out. Anger. I am angry at blank. I can tell you what I'm angry at. State-sanctioned executions of unarmed Black men, women, and children. I'm angry at Crayola wanton white supremacy. I'm angry that we descend from ancestors whose heinous chattel slave labor built the wealth that everyone else benefits from but our line. I'm angry at politicians that look like me that aren't representing me. I'm angry at the intentional neglect of the government concerning American freedmen and giving our reparations and protections away to everyone but us. Perhaps you feel unfairly treated and have not released all your anger at the meanness of others, or perhaps you have not forgiven yourself for self-sabotaging behavior in the past that affects your life now. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. As for fear, I am afraid of blank. Perhaps you carry a secret fear of loss, of tragedy, and have not yet learned to release it to God. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. I know that I'm afraid for our lineage. I am truly afraid of what I believe to be the government's ethno-genocidal plans to erase and replace us. I am afraid for my people who are suffering the highest rates of eviction right now, while the corporate mainstream media totally neglects these facts. Kinky Curly Stray says, I am overwhelmed at the thought that we are so confused as a people. Yes, family. Tell it. I'm afraid for our people and for our lineage because the government seems to be more invested in abortion than it does making us economically whole. I get concerned about these agendas that they're investing all their time and energy into that don't include an end to qualified immunity, that don't include paying the reparations that we are owed. How are our people going to survive it when the recent pandemic has pretty much the majority of our people off the monopoly board and nobody's talking about it? Unforgiveness. I haven't forgiven blank for blank. I haven't forgiven white people for institutional systemic racism. Perhaps there's someone who betrayed your heart and you have not been able to forgive him or her yet. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. I can't seem to forgive our government for their intentional neglect. Judgment. I judge blank for blank. Perhaps you think that others are behaving in ways they shouldn't, and you think and or speak of them in negative terms. Yes, Joe Crow. Yes, Obama. Yes, Kabami. I do. Guilty. I can't forgive them. Clinton, too, I can't forgive them for the heinous ways in which they've legislated us to the bottom as the anchor of the country's capitalism. I judge them for that. That to me is a righteous judgment. But do you see how these bricks can weigh you down? And no matter what you do in the outer, you can have temporary gains and then even bigger setbacks because you won't let go of the bricks. Disdain. I feel disdain for blank. I feel disdain for Black immigrants who talk against American freedmen, whose ancestors built this country with their lives, who are the very reason they got access to the country. I have disdain for when they call us names. I have disdain for when they talk against reparations. I have disdain. When they act ungrateful I have disdain for when they pretend to be us to take advantage of the very affirmative action and the very civil rights our ancestors died that we would benefit from. I have disdain for whites that do it too. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Excess responsibility. I am responsible for blank. Perhaps you carry the burden of thinking you're responsible for things that are out of your control. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Pressure. I feel so pressured about blank. Perhaps you feel that at home, at work, as a lover, as a friend, as an employee, or as a parent, you're carrying more pressure than you can stand. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Exhaustion. I am exhausted because blank. Perhaps you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally so tired that you can hardly stand to awaken some days. You don't even want to get out of bed. Isn't that true? For American freedmen in particular, who've got to go out here and work several gig jobs just to pay the exorbitant rents these days? Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Burden. I am burdened by immigration. Perhaps you're carrying a pain in your heart that lies heavy upon you and weighs you down. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Yes, sis, I'm speaking to souls that hear me, baby. Let those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear partake of the fruit of the Spirit. That's it, baby. Stress. I am stressed by blank. Perhaps the bills you owe, the responsibilities you carry, the needs of your family, the demands of work, and so forth are a constant source of stress. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Heartbreak. My heart is heavy because my mother took the vaccine and the boosters, and we lost her after her 75th birthday. My heart breaks over that. Perhaps someone you love is ill or has left you, has died. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Injustice. It isn't fair that I blank. It isn't fair that American freedmen are losing in every metric in the country our ancestors built with their lives. It isn't fair that Joe Crow gives all of our reparations and protections to everyone but us. It's an injustice. Protection. I feel I need protection from blank. From the race soldiers. Perhaps you feel there's a person or a condition that is a threat to your well-being that frightens you. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Pride. I am prideful when blank. Perhaps you lack humility when dealing with others, failing to listen to them deeply or to admit when you've made a mistake. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Selfishness. I am selfish when blank. Perhaps you grab for what you want in life without thinking of the needs of others. Jealousy. I get jealous when blank. Perhaps you tear others down when you fear their success, not having learned that blessing others and what they have is a way of manifesting the same abundance in your own life. Greed. I get greedy when perhaps you accumulate more than you need in life, giving no deference to moderation, balance, or the needs of others. Laziness. I am lazy when blank. Perhaps you fail to take responsibility for generating energy in a positive, vital, and productive way. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Separation. I feel separate from blank. Perhaps there is a friend or family member or organization or community from which you've been disconnected, leaving a pain in your heart. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Dishonesty. I don't feel that I can be honest about blank. Perhaps you carry a secret, something you don't feel you can safely tell anyone. Perhaps it's a guilty secret or something that you simply fear others would judge you for. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. I see you, Lizo Shadow. Thank you for joining the live. Arrogance. I am better than blank. Perhaps you think you are smarter, better, more qualified, or more worthy than someone else. Perhaps you feel your sensitivity makes you superior. Do not go unconscious. Write it all out. Inferiority. I feel not as good as blank. Perhaps you feel that others are smarter, better, more qualified, or more worthy than you. Perhaps you feel that your weight makes you inferior. Do not go unconscious, family. Write it all out. Embarrassment. I feel embarrassed because blank. Perhaps you have fallen down in some way in front of others. Perhaps your issues with weight have increased this embarrassment. Perhaps your spouse or children are embarrassed by your appearance. Self-abnegation. I have built this wall so that others won't hate me for being beautiful and successful and seeming to have it all. Perhaps you have subconsciously chosen excess weight as a bargaining chip to win the approval of others, as though if you still have one big thing you suffer from, then you're not so glorious as to offend them. Hi, Freeman Holocaust survivor. I see you, fam. Do not go unconscious, family. Write it all out. Closing your eyes, family. See yourself standing in a golden light. See all the flesh you think of as excess weight, as a brick wall that you carry around. Looking closely at the wall, see that it is made up of your own suffering and pain. Now ask God, your inner Christ, to walk up to the wall with you. Together, the two of you began to take down each brick, one by one, and ultimately dismantle the wall. Explain to your inner Christ what each brick means to you. Then watch how, whenever God touches the brick, it crumbles. Do not rush away from this vision. Rather, hold it for as long as you can. Spirit will illumine your understanding and give you the permission to feel the pain that you've denied for so long. And then the pain will begin to leave. Dear God, please remove the wall that I have built around me. I have built it so strong that I cannot tear it down. I surrender to you every thought of separation, every feeling of fear, every unforgiving thought. Please take this burden from me forever. Thank you for answered prayer. And so it is. Family, your work is cut out for you. As I reminded you earlier on the live, when you sit with each one of these bricks, you want to ask your inner Christ, what's it about? And you can actually do a burning and releasing exercise with those pages. You may want to photocopy them and burn them daily until it's finished in you. Whatever comes up, you can have your own burning and releasing ceremony, or you can shred it and take it to the beach and throw it in the ocean. whatever you choose to do with it to get rid of it in your experience. Those bricks are the excess weight that you're carrying in the body. So until you get rid of these bricks with the help of your inner Christ, the weight will yo-yo. It will leave and then it will come back because you will not have dealt with the bricks. You will not have torn down the wall in your own experience. So please do these exercises. It's imperative in this work that we're doing right now. So I want to give us the denial and affirmation that we're working with during this series. Pain, sickness, poverty, old age, nor death can master me, for they are not real. And we affirm together that I am spirit, perfect, whole, harmonious, and complete. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick, broke, or afraid, for spirit is God, and God is never sick, never broke, and never afraid. And I manifest my real self through this body temple right now. And so it is, family. I am going to post. I'm not going to forget this time. As soon as I conclude here, I'm going to post for tomorrow's day 4 of 21-day spiritual lessons in weight loss in spiritual weight loss to surrender our physical weight forever. I'm going to advertise it as soon as I pray us out, so that more people will get the notices in enough time to join us. Remember, family, I will not be streaming over my advocacy channel, nor the Twitter, nor the Facebook after next Tuesday. That will complete a week of doing this particular Metaphysically Speaking, where I'm streaming to all platforms right now in order to get enough of us, enough subs from the other locations to join me over on Nirvana World TV. So please, please, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications over there, because once I start streaming there, I will be creating a new Facebook for that, a new Twitter to stream to for that, to keep the advocacy space separate and apart from this particular space. Thank you, Kinky Curly Stray. She said, this is so good. I'm so glad you're getting so much out of it, each and every one of you. I'm just grateful that you decided to join me, because this is what has changed my life and made me a manifesting machine, okay? And I want to gift this to American freedmen so that they can start to be their own practitioners and become manifesting machines right now, because that's what we needed right now. Remember, every time something comes up that you don't want in your experience, you have to come up with something that you can remember that's very clever. I just simply say, it shall not come near me. Cancel, cancel, cancel. You know, if you can't remember one of the longer denials in affirmation, when someone's telling you about the heebies and the jeebies and the poverty and the angry marriage and the bad kids, within yourself, as you listen and take it in, you let your inner Christ speak to you and tell your God mind, cancel, cancel, cancel. It shall not come near me. Thank you, God, for answered prayer. That's the way you do it. And I mean, sometimes you find yourself doing that every 5 minutes, because when you are coming to understand who you really are before you were flesh, let me tell you, the bricks are far bigger than your capacity to remember. So until you can do the remembrance on autopilot come up with a clever way when you've been introduced to something negative. And please, please, please become the gatekeeper of your life, world, and affairs. You can't take on everything in this abominable, diabolical news. Remember, be mindful of what you're listening to right now. I've got some amazing artists that I listen to. You can just Pandora or YouTube Music, this particular artist right here, Tony Jones with an I. Honey, the beats are off the charts and off the chain, but the lyrics are affirmative. They are sheer fire. And what Tony Jones or what Pandora does, or YouTube Music that is, they will stream all of the like consciousness affirming lyricists and musicians out here under your Pandora or YouTube Music. Okay, YouTube Music comes when you have a premium kind of account. So if you don't have that, do Spotify, do Pandora. Just put this name in, Tony with an I, put that in your music, and honey, you can work out to this music. They got some up-tempo beats. They got beats on affirming prosperity, money, honey, relationships, love. They got it all, okay? And that's what you need to be meditating on. Not this diabolical music supported by the Jewish music industry that's out here designed to make us turn one on another, to make us call each other out of our names, to make us glorify the diabolical, not so new slavery in the private prison industrial complex, to make us turn against each other, to keep the gender war going between each other, to promote us taking drugs, to promote us taking suicide, to promote us murdering each other. Okay? Meditate on these words and turn off the diabolical television programs and movies. There's a lot of great spiritual content that can leave you whole, that can help you in your journey back to yourself, which is your inner Christ. This is the great return here. And so you want to be the gatekeeper of what you put in your mind, and what you put in your ears goes in your mind and starts to manifest in your experience. Anything you want to eradicate and change into something good, you can create your own denials and affirmations and meditate on it regularly until the manifestation. You hear me? Until it manifests. And remember, our prayers aren't ones of supplication. Take the please out of the prayer and say thank you. Let's reread that prayer. Dear God, thank you for removing the wall that I have built around me. I have built it so strong, dear God, that I cannot tear it down. I of myself can do nothing, but my inner Christ does it all. I surrender to my inner Christ every thought of separation, every feeling of fear, every unforgiving thought. Thank you, God, for taking this burden from me forever. And so it is. Thank you for answered prayer. So we're going to take the please out. I'm going to start altering that when I come across it in Marianne's book. Because ours is not prayers of supplication, not as the image likeness of God. You just need that to take over. And then when you come into pockets of disbelief or unbelief, appeal to your inner Christ to help your unbelief and stand in the gap of your misunderstanding until you understand. With that being said, family, that concludes our time together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Friedman and its allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are. The voice of God, the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until we meet again tomorrow, same time, same spirit-filled station, I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and tomorrow's work day. If no one's told you today how much they love you, know that I love you Black and I love you Freedman strong. Yes, I do. Thank you so much for joining me, family, especially at the last minute. I'll do better tomorrow. Until then, family, love and light and peace and blessings to you all. Good night.